Welcome back to Just the Facts Horns, y'all. My name is Jimmy. Today we're doing our Texas Longhorns preview and prediction video for the Alabama Crimson Tide game. Big top 11 matchup. Wish we snuck our way into the top 10, but it's okay. It's okay. Shout out to Notre Dame. Top 11 matchup against Alabama this upcoming Saturday. Texas, of course, coming off the game against Rice. Mixed bag. We'll talk about it here in a second. And then Alabama coming off their game against Middle Tennessee State. Jalen Milroe's first real start as the guy, you know what I mean? He started the game last year against A&M, I believe, but, you know, he's the man this year, not Bryce Young. So a lot of stuff to get into, so let's go ahead and get into it. So we're going to talk about a little bit of takeaways from the Rice game for Texas and the Middle Tennessee game for Bama. We're going to talk about a little bit of matchups, and then we're going to talk about three big keys for the Horns to win this game. And then I'll give y'all a prediction of who wins and why. So starting off with Texas against Rice. Like I said, it was a mixed bag. 137-10, did what we needed to do, but there were a couple things that stood out to me, for better or for worse. One, I will say the offensive line was not up to par. The physicality wasn't there. I'll start off by saying this. Yes, the playbook was vanilla, but that is not an excuse for our offense to play the way that it did for a good chunk of that game, at least a half of the game. You can be vanilla and still execute your stuff. You can be vanilla and still dominate. You can be vanilla and still be physical and take care of business without a problem. In that first half, we were sloppy. We couldn't finish drives. We couldn't get 4th and 1s. I say all that to say that the offense should have played a lot better than it did, despite being vanilla. The offensive line wasn't physical at the point of attack, allowing Rice to get into the backfield. I think the line was a lot better when Neto was in the game instead of DJ Campbell. So we're going to see how that's going to develop moving forward. I think Sark said Christian Jones was the only one that was really at least decent on Saturday. So our offensive line really disappointed me because all those guys are returning guys. Most of them, if not all of them, all of them have started games before for us. So I'm expecting the offensive line to actually be a strength for our team, and it wasn't this past Saturday. That really disappointed me. It made Quinn not look good, but Quinn also wasn't good independently, so he was still missing throws. The deep ball is still eluding us to this day, and if he's not going to hit it now, when is he going to hit it? Is he saving it for Bama? No, he would have hit it by now. It's just those couple little things that we wanted to see him improve on that we didn't really see on Saturday. So defense is legit for Texas. This is our best defensive team, I think, since the 2017 team. The 2017 team was amazing defensively. The 2020 team was pretty good defensively too. Shout out to Joseph Osai. But I think this team defensively right now is as loaded as it has been since 2017. So I'm talking all three levels this time too, not just linebackers, not just the back end, all of it. It ties in together, and it's really looking nice. And we're going to be good the whole season defensively. It's just going to come down to the offense. So those were the three takeaways for Texas, three takeaways for Bama. One, I think we should expect more Jalen Milroe runs. I think there was a good amount of runs in that Middle Tennessee game. Couldn't catch too much of it, but he did run the ball a good amount. I think they're going to really double down on that a little bit more just because how their offense is constructed, just because their identity, I think, is kind of geared kind of towards a more running style. Think 2009 through 2016 around there. That's the type of Bama I think we're going to see this year, more so than ever. So I think there's going to be I don't think there was as many Milroe designed runs, but I think this game coming up and in future games, they're going to run Milroe on designed runs a little bit more, and we're going to see how that's going to pan out for them. That leads me to my second point of Bama turning back the clock. I think they're going to be more of a running team. Bama's always physical, even through the Jalen Hurts and Tua, Mac Jones days. They were still very physical at the point of attack on the lines of scrimmage. And I think they're going to continue that, double down on that, but I think the style is going to change in terms of running between the tackles, trying to pound you, trying to grind it down the field every single time. And I think that's going to be their formula this season at least. And then their defense is elite as well, especially the back end guys. You have Caleb Downs, who came in as a true freshman, and he's already making an impact. Led the team in tackles last game. Kool-Aid McKinstry's obviously still there, and then their back end guys are pretty good. So shut us down in the past game last year. So those are my 3 takeaways for Alabama. I think Texas in this game is going to have to march down the field. Just because, like I said, what I saw from Quinn, man, the deep balls just aren't hitting. And it sucks because Sark's offense is really set up for the big play, set up for 40, 50, 60-yard bomb. I mean, and that coupled with the fact that Bama's secondary is going to be tight-knit and there's not going to be as many windows to throw the ball in, especially deep. I think Texas is going to have to grind their way down the field every time. And that's concerning to me because I'm not sure if they can consistently do that. If Bijan was there, I'd be like, okay, maybe. But yet again, Bijan got stuffed against big-time opponents in the past. Bama last year. He got stuffed against Arkansas. He got stuffed against TCU last year. So, that's no fault of his. Teams just sold out on the run and forced us to pass, and we couldn't make them pay in the pass game. So this year, obviously no Bijan, but Texas has an assortment of backs. CJ Baxter is back and running. He's going to be ready to go for Saturday. Jaden Blue is really impressive in the Rice game. And then, of course, Jonathan Brooks. All 3 of those guys are going to get a good amount of carries in this game. And not to mention Keelan Robinson's a utility back. So I think Texas is going to have to grind their way down the field, using a lot of Whittington, a big body receiver who's going to be in the middle. He's going to have a mismatch a lot of the time. So if we can kind of target him a lot, I think he can have a big game. The big thing to watch in this game is going to be the lines of scrimmage. Now, a big reason why Texas was in the game last year is because they were so physical on both lines of scrimmages. They actually dominated both lines of scrimmages, I think. But not dominated, I'll take that back. Bama did a good job of holding their own as well. And it was pretty much a stalemate on the lines of scrimmage. And Bama, that's their core identity, is being physical as hell. And is Texas going to bring that? They didn't have that in the Rice game. The offensive line wasn't as physical as they needed to be. The D line for Texas was pretty good. The edge guys were pretty good. Ethan Burke, and then you had Barron Terrell and T. Sweat in the middle. Vernon Broughton, Alfred Collins. They were all doing their thing, pressures. But in this game in particular, it's going to have to be bumped up to another level on both sides, because Alabama, their offensive line, I think, is one of their strong suits for this year, which is another reason why I think they're going to be more of a running team. Jace McClellan, Roydell Williams, and then Jalen Milroe, of course, is going to take on that as well. The offensive line, defensive line game, the game in the trenches is going to be super interesting to watch, and it's going to be a big factor as to who wins this game. It's honestly a big test for Texas's defense, and it's a big test for Jalen Milroe. The last time we really saw Milroe in this spot, he didn't look too great in the Texas A&M game. Now, they ended up pulling that game out. They leaned a lot on Jahmyr Gibbs, and guess what? Jahmyr Gibbs is not there anymore. Speaking of Jahmyr Gibbs, he was a big factor as to why Alabama won the game last year. I think he had at least 7 catches. I think he had double digits, though. Catches against Texas. He was on third down, on fourth down. The one touchdown he had receiving was just backbreaking for Texas. They couldn't stop him receiving out of the backfield. There's not that dynamic this year. So it's going to be interesting to see how Bama attacks Texas. Can Milroe, with these receivers, with Bond and Brooks, can they create enough separation against these Texas DBs in order to make life easier for Jalen Milroe? We're going to see that on Saturday. And I'm not sure if I'm confident in Milroe's ability to do that, honestly. I have to see it to believe it. On the other side, it is a big challenge for Texas defense going against Milroe, because I don't remember the last time Texas went up against a guy this physically imposing, dangerous, coming out the backfield as a quarterback. It's going to be a big test. I'm not sure how we're going to use Jalen Ford as a spy, or we're going to have him more. I think we're just going to have him more coverage, but We're going to see if he's going to spy on him or Benda's going to spy on him and just as soon as he breaks the pocket, go after him and get him on the ground. It's going to be imperative for Texas to get sacks. They were number 1 in the country last year in quarterback pressures. They were nowhere near first in sacks last year. So Texas has to get the quarterback down. They have had issues with that, and if they don't get Jalen Milroe down, it's going to be a long, long, long night for Texas. Now, Bama's at home. They have the advantage. In the last 2 years, they have played significantly better at home than they have on the road. See, last year, for example. That's what has me worried for Texas winning this game. If they get off to a really rough start or a really slow start, are they able to climb their way back into a game? Maybe, maybe not. Now, on the flip side, if Texas gets ahead and they're in control of the game, can they stay in control? That was the big issue. That has been the big issue for Texas over the past 2 years in the Sark era. We play great for 2.5 to 3 quarters. Fourth quarter comes around. We fold. We collapse. We can't do anything. I think Sark has 13 losses, and at least half of them have been we've been up in the second half. We've been up in the fourth quarter type of deal, and we just blew it. So Texas is not as far off to where they need to be as some people might think. It's just finishing in the fourth quarter. So that's going to be interesting. The 3 keys for Texas winning this game is 1, staying ahead of the chains like I mentioned in the beginning. They're going to have to – I think they're going to have to grind down the field to get their points instead of hitting long bombs and things of that nature. Unless we want to go Tennessee mode, then I'm all for it. But we don't have Jalen Hyatt on our roster. We have a really great wide receiver core, though. But, you know, we even if we had Jalen Hyatt, who knows, we probably wouldn't be able to get him the ball on deep shots anyway. So we're going to need to grind it out, I think, downfield. That means staying ahead of the chains if we are going to have to grind it down the field. Second and 13s, it's a no-no. 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 10s, we want to avoid that because the crowd's going to get into it. They're going to bring these exotic blitzes and Quinn playing into that type of environment. I'm not sure how much he's going to hold up. That might be Fright Night. It might be Fright Night. Containing Milroe running, that's the second key for Texas winning this game. He's going to get his yards. He's going to do his thing, at least to some degree. Can we not let him run wild on the defense? We have guys that can chase him down. We have guys that are fast enough and athletic enough and smart enough to stay with him and not let him just run rampant all over the defense. If he beats us with his arm, cool. You got it. Bama might win the Natty this year if he does that. But let him do it. Let's let him do it. And if he can, great. If he can't, I'd feel pretty good about this game. The third thing is the physicality in the trenches. A reason why we hung in there last year was the physicality, and there's no doubt in my mind that Texas is going to show up amped. We're going to show up fired up. Texas is always going to show up for games like this in terms of energy. There's going to be a heightened sense of urgency. Texas is going to be flying all over the place, at least on the first couple possessions. The offensive line is going to need to play a lot better because we're going to need to run the ball against this Alabama defense. And I think Texas will do enough of those things to be able to win this game. I was more confident in Texas winning this game 5 to 6 days ago. Right now, I am not as confident in Texas winning this game just because of what I saw and what we're going to need in this game. I still think Texas wins. I really think they win if it's more of a free-flowing type of game. If it's a close game like 19-17, like last year, 20-17 or something like that, I don't think Texas can win that game. If the game is a little bit higher scoring, I think they can win that type of game. A more free-flowing, a more up-and-down game that plays more into Texas's wheelhouse than a 21-17 game. If we can bump it up to 31, I think Texas should feel good about themselves. Give me Texas to win 31-27 in a close game, but Texas gets a last-second touchdown to win the game. And, yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think about this game. Who wins? Why? What are y'all's 3 keys for the game? Y'all let me know down below. But I think Texas has it. Texas goes as far as Quinn Ewers takes them. So that's all I'm going to say and leave it at that. But this is Jimmy for Just the Facts Horns. Make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'm out. Hook 'em.